A deal has reportedly been struck for about 25% of the Armenian Quarter of Jerusalem's Old City to be leased off for 99 years by the Patriarchate to one Zana capital owned by Danny Rubenstein, an Israeli-Australian businessman. The local Armenian community feels that their history and heritage is being sold off, and community activists have been organizing weekly protests demanding that the deal is revoked. To discuss this, I'm joined by local Jerusalem Armenian activist Hagop Djernazian. So, Hagop Djernazian, thank you very much for your time. Firstly, can you explain to our watchers what exactly is this deal that's going on with Zana Capital? What is the Armenian community in Jerusalem's perception of this deal?
First of all, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak. So this deal, as you mentioned, the deal was signed 2 years ago, back in July 2021. The Patriarchate at that time signed a illegal deal with the Australian Israeli Jewish businessman. His name Danny Rubenstein. The deal was signed by Patriarch Nurhan Manukyan, defrocked Father Baret Yeretsian, and Archbishop Sevan Gharibian. They leased the historical Armenian garden, which is known as the Cow's Garden Goveru Bardez, for 99 years in order to build a hotel in this area, on this plot of land. For us, this plot of land is not just a plot of land, it's 25% of the entire Armenian Quarter. For us, the Armenian Quarter is an integral part of the old city and of the Christian presence in Jerusalem, and losing this land will affect a lot, not only on the Armenian presence but also on the entire Christian communities and presence in Jerusalem. That's why today the Jerusalemite Armenian community is fighting in order to demand answers from the Patriarchate, and also to demand that this deal will be revoked immediately.
Has anyone seen the contract or what the deal entails, or is this being kept away from the community, in your opinion?
So, unfortunately, till these days, the community members never saw the contract. We just heard rumors from the Patriarchate or from some priests. But at that time, 2 years ago, the Patriarchate published some announcements regarding the deal. But only 2 months ago, for example, we discovered that the houses that Armenian families live in and the whole of the seminary is also included in the deal. So that's why the community is now raising its voices, but unfortunately the Patriarchate is not giving us any answers and is not providing the necessary information in order to see what was leased illegally.
So just to understand, there's speculation that it's not just the car park area which we're talking about, it's further down into the old city as well.
Yes, we can say that from wall to wall, from the wall of the old city, from this wall to the wall of the police station, we know that some areas were leased. The Goveru Bardez, the Cow's Garden, was leased for sure, according to the public announcements of the Patriarchate. The houses and the seminary hall are also included, and some other areas behind the Armenian seminary are also included in the deal.
We also saw footage of a man by the name of Yeretsian being escorted out of the old city by Israeli police. What was happening there exactly?
So the Holy Synod a few weeks ago decided to defrock Father Baret Yeretsian, and a week after the decision, the community members gathered next to his house in order to protest a few hours before he leaves the convent. During the protest, the Israeli police came in order to take him out of the convent. The Armenian community gathered there a very spontaneous way in order to raise their voices against the deal, because the forked Father Baret was one of the members of the Saint James Brotherhood who signed the deal. So it was the first protest against this deal, and it happened against Father Baret. And now the community is taking other steps against this deal. For example, we are organizing weekly protests in the main courtyard of the Armenian convent, demanding that this deal will be reversed immediately.
As a young, Armenian from Jerusalem, when you heard about this deal and you've been following all the developments very closely? I mean, what does it make you feel? What do you think about the future of the Armenian presence in Jerusalem, particularly in the Old City?
First of all, it is very important to mention that the owners of this place, of the Armenian Quarter, is the Armenian Nation. Okay, we, the Armenian Nation, are the owners of the Armenian Quarter. For centuries, the Armenian Nation donated donations to the Armenian Patriarchate in order to buy these lands that we have today. For example, the Cow's Garden, the Armenian Nation, thanks to the generous donations of the Armenian Nation, the Armenian Patriarchate at that time succeeded to buy this land. And now we, the Armenian community in Jerusalem, is under great danger. Our presence here is in great danger, because if this lease will not be revoked, we may lose not only this 25% of the Armenian Quarter, but we may lose other areas in the Armenian Quarter, and our presence will be under great danger. That's why we are calling upon all Armenians around the world to stand with us, to raise their voices, to demand transparency. We demand transparency, that the Patriarchate will show us the contract and show us the map to know what was leased. And also the Armenian Nation should demand from the Patriarchate to reverse the deal immediately, because if we will not reverse the deal immediately, our 2,000 years old Armenian presence in Jerusalem is in great danger, and we may lose our rights in the holy city of Jerusalem.
What's the Patriarchate telling the community? What's the communication between the two? Particularly, what is the explanation? What are they saying as a justification for this deal?
2 years ago, when the deal was signed by the Patriarchate, their excuse at that time why they signed the deal was that this agreement will bring stable income to the Patriarchate. But it is very important to mention that the Armenian Patriarchate financial situation is in very good conditions in these days. So this is absolutely a lie that this deal will provide us stable income, because the Patriarchate is the owner of many shops and buildings in Jerusalem and in the Holy Land that are income properties and real estate. So this was at that time the reason why they signed the deal. But now, following the discovering of the lease of the houses and the seminary hall, the Patriarchate is not providing any answers to the community, and the Patriarchate is not providing any answers to the questions of the community. Many community members are having meetings with the Patriarchate, demanding him to show the contract in order to help him to reverse the contract, and he's not showing it, and he's not providing any answers. I would like to mention that it's high time the Armenian diaspora, the Armenian Nation, the Republic of Armenia will join the efforts of the Armenian community, will join the efforts of the King of Jordan and the President of Palestine to protect the Armenian presence, to protect the Armenian Quarter. This is the last battle to protect our presence here. This is the last battle for the Armenian Quarter.
Okay, well, Hagop Djernazian, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much for giving me this important opportunity.
And you can continue following CivilNet as we look to unpack this Goveri Bartez, or Cow's Garden puzzle. Thank you for joining us on CivilNet.